Today on the Toppy Show, RFK Jr. drops out and endorses Donald Trump. Colin Kaepernick begs the NFL to hire him after he compared them to the slave trade. The Secret Service headquarters allegedly ordered agents at the Trump assassination attempt rally to not request additional support. A 62-year-old man is assaulted by a gang of 7 teenagers. MSNBC says Kamala did a great job at the border. The new Starbucks CEO has been critiqued for private jet usage. Peloton stock actually more than doubled last week. And BMW issues a recall since their vehicles may just burst into flames. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guys, he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you could reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Starbucks' new CEO being critiqued because he uses a private jet, while Starbucks has the image of green, not just in the logo, but they also say that they love the environment and they want you to use those ridiculous garbage paper straws, which ironically come in plastic wrap, but I partially digress. Now, this comes just thanks to CNN Business, which is actually fascinatingly in and of itself still in business. Now, this is by a writer over there by the name of Jordan Valinsky, in which they say, quote, Starbucks is giving its new CEO, Brian Nicole, a private jet to commute between his California home as well as the Seattle office, which is famously where Starbucks is headquartered. There you can see a picture of him, and like all true gentlemen, he did suit up, as all good men do. Interestingly enough, he also has I believe the youth, or no, actually, Grandpa would probably say this, a groovy tie. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 different colors, and it's striped. Interesting, unique choice. Now they say, quote, new Starbucks CEO Brian Nicole won't be a contestant or a constant presence at the Seattle headquarters, where he takes the helm next month. Instead, he's going to commute weekly from his California home. The setup was revealed last week in Nicole's offer letter, which is giving him a, quote, small remote office in his home in Newport, California, and not requiring him to permanently relocate to the coffee chain Seattle offices more than 1,000 miles away. Starbucks is giving him a corporate jet to use to commute back and forth. Starbucks spokesperson says, quote, Brian Nicole has proven himself to be one of the most effective leaders in the industry, generating significant financial returns over many years, end quote. Which, as a refresher, he successfully turned around Chipotle, which, I mean, that company's become iconic for, I believe it's called Tex-Mex or other fancy food they serve over there in the burritos. I think it's been like 10, 15 years since they had one. Nothing, guys, just outside my price point. Now, they say, additionally, quote, we're confident his experience and ability to serve the leader of our global business and our brand, delivering long-term, enduring value of our partners, customers, and shareholders. Now, this is where CNN starts to cry. But Nicole's private jet perk has brought some attention to the climate change implications of those flights and Starbucks' projection as an environmentally friendly business, which recently rolled out new plastic cups that use less plastic, as well as the eliminating the plastic straws. They got rid of them altogether. Bastards. Pardon for the French. Although I should say maybe Italiano, since it's supposed to be coffee and all that kind of stuff. But nevertheless, they say, quote, jet travel, whether via a large commercial jet or small private jet, is a major source of carbon emissions, responsible for about 800 million tons of carbon dioxide annually, or more than, oh dear God, 2% of all total global emissions. Yeah, no one ever pays attention to the big panda in the room. China, which is building multiple coal plants and is one of the biggest contributing factors when it comes to environmental emissions. Also, India, and yet people always focus on kneecapping the American economy. I understand it's a balance and a whole other topic for another time, perhaps, but yeah, they go on to say, quote, although private jets burn a fraction of the fuel of a commercial jet, they still continue to consume and estimate 10 times more per passenger per mile traveled given their limited capacity. They say Starbucks also said employees must return work from office three days a week if they could commute within a certain radius of an office. Wow, his base salary isn't as much as I thought, given the values I suspect he's going to bring. Again, none of this is financial advice, but relative to the value I think he'll bring to Starbucks, he has a base salary of $1.6 million, which is about 18 cents after the government steals it. I mean, taxes it on a federal and state level. And he says he also received a $10 million signing bonus. And they say depending on the performance, you'll also get some options as well, most likely stock. Interesting. So we'll see what the public reaction is to this. There's not too many comments in this article yet. But yeah, in terms of time efficiencies, one of the biggest misconceptions Americans don't understand is the importance of private jet usage. I mean, one of my favorite books is, was it American Built? Where is it? Made in America by Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart. And back then, he had a propeller plane, a personal usage one. He actually built the company with it because they would survey new sites, look for new places to put the stores, as well as hobby and business expense. But yeah, in terms of time resource allocation, again, once you get to a certain level in your career, depending on what you do for a living, your time is worth more and more and more. And one of the biggest detriments to the inefficiencies of commercial jet or commercial aviation is, well, not just that, also the government putting its nose in the TSA. But yeah, you have to get to the airport about 2 hours early these days. Then Lord knows you're not going to actually, wheels up on time. There's going to be multiple delays. And I mean, those types of environments, it is more challenging to actually conduct work. Granted, it's been years since I've personally flown, but even with noise canceling earpieces, it was still a distraction trying to get some work done. So again, to actually have the private jet where you don't have to get there 2 hours early, and given the frequency of how often you'll be traveling, I mean, commercial aviation, or especially private jets for businesses. So another reason this makes sense, they own this already. So this is already on the Starbucks book of assets. I don't know, you argue it's just going to decrease in value, so it's not really an asset. I understand that, but in terms of making its time as most valuable as possible, yeah, I think it's a smart move. Now, will the general public boycott Starbucks because of this? Well, no, but I don't think so, because they have other things to boycott about with Starbucks. This gentleman has a lot of challenges on his plate, and again, Starbucks is it's a luxury product. I appreciate their coffee, but I only buy it when I'm on the road for my IT company. So if I'm on the road between meetings, I got 40 minutes or an hour between the two meetings, I'm willing to pay $6 to $7 for a cup of the regular drip coffee they have there, only because I justify it as a business expense for a portable office, so to say. And granted, I don't even use their Wi-Fi because I care about security, but I can justify it because I can sit down and get some work done. The average person going there to just buy $6, $12, $18 for a glorified candy bar and a cup, albeit it would be pretty tasty, I understand. I'm fascinated that there are still people buying Starbucks right now when you have unprecedented economic and political uncertainty. Again, I know this is financial advice. I'm just very skeptical about, I mean, granted, Americans are also trillions of dollars in debt, but at what point do you say, I don't need that expensive cup of coffee? So let me know, do you think this will spark a big boycott? Do you think the average person really cares what the CEO does? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, Peloton stock basically doubled last week. And again, hindsight is 2020, not financial advice. But truth be told, I actually feel bad for my friends. I think he spent like 20, 30 bucks shorting this stock, which I told him, you never know. I mean, with all the evidence we had, I mean, Peloton, pretty skeptical about performance in general, but yeah, it turns out their stock did pretty darn good. In fact, last week it went up by 51.25%, which, yeah, I'm still shocked. Granted, earlier this year they streamlined staff, aka they laid off a lot of people in the staff. They did a lot of partnerships with physical brick and mortar stores, put bikes in there to boost sales, and so they had a new CEO and a whole turnaround plan. But I mean, there are times when the turnaround plan just doesn't work, especially when you have more competition and the market's completely different. But yeah, it's doing pretty well. Peloton, who would have thought? Currently trading for $4.84 per share. Granted, by the time this video is rendered and uploaded, it will be different because that's the stock market does. The stock market does. Currently has a market cap of $1.79 billion. And yeah, I just can't believe that they actually did pretty darn good in their earnings. People are buying these luxury glorified bicycles that actually can't go anywhere. Though I guess I don't have much ground to stand. I do have now it'd be considered a vintage pre-core 932i. Love that treadmill. Fell in love with her in college, and I got one, and it's worth every penny. But that's also commercial products engineered to last much longer than consumer grade. I partially digress. Now they say, quote, Peloton's shares swelled last week because they had largest single day percentage gain since the company went public in 2019. Again, hindsight's 2020. Who would have thought you should put money in this company? But nevertheless, they say that the market cap is still well below the all-time high during the recent pandemic. Granted, it's the rate of increase you were talking about there. They say that, quote, Peloton shares increased On track to pass the company's single-day gain. Company's market cap increased there. In large shareholders, Peloton reported fourth quarter revenue of $644 million, which I guess is good because, terrible economy, terrible all that kind of stuff. But it's only up 0.2% year over year ahead of I guess it was ahead of the analyst expectations of 628 million, which, again, when you knock the stocks off, folks, when you exceed their expectations, that's when the stock goes up or precipitously crashes if you're do not fulfill those promises, the projections that you were telling folks that you think you will get there. They say, quote, Peloton last reported year-over-year sales growth in 2022, overdue, when the company reported a second quarter revenue of 1.11 billion back then. The company also reported quarterly losses of 30.5 million or 8 cents per share, better than the analysts' projections of 17 cents per share, after Peloton reported a 241.1 million during the same period last year. Now, of course, this helps that Barry McLaren stepped down as Peloton CEO in May, as the company said it would lay off 15% of their staff, part of the cost-cutting initiatives. Then they have the new CEO to help them come out. They also have the new interim CEO, Karen Boone, Boone, saying that their new process is well underway. They hope to continue to grow and develop. Which, yeah, this is probably one of the most shocking things I've read about in a couple weeks, because, again, anecdotally speaking, I don't know a single person has bought a Peloton in the past multiple years. I had a couple friends who went out and they bought them during the pandemic. And then it was very popular, but lately, I didn't see a single one doing it. So probably one of the most shocking things I read about lately. Let me know in the comments. Do you know anyone who's actually gone out and bought a Peloton, and would you buy one if you're going to look for your next exercise equipment? Let me know in the comments. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have a 62-year-old man assaulted by a gang of 17 boys, and it went viral. And this happened, of course, in Staten Island. And it's sad, but we're seeing this more and more. And yeah, obviously inexcusable. I know I'm starting to sound more and more like an old soul. Like these kids these days, like back in my day when you were a teen, you do harmless pranks, drop fireworks in the summer. You throw water balloons at some folks, like, didn't physically assault people. And yet we're seeing this frequency increase more and more and more. And granted, I'm not a gambling man, but I can't help but think probably not a father in the household. Statistically speaking, there probably isn't in this case. And I think that's one of the biggest cultural issues in the United States is the demise and decline of the nuclear family. Though I partially digress. Now this comes to us thanks to Colin Ruck over the X Twitter. Says, quote, new 62-year-old Staten Island man assaulted by a group of teens in a random attack during his evening walk. The man says he's walking when the group confronted him and asked him which fist he wanted to be punched with. He was then chased with across the street where he was assaulted. And he said, quote, I want to leave here. I no longer want to live here, he said during an interview after the incident. The man was sent to a hospital where he incurred $5,000 in medical bills. It was like 2 teens aged 13 and 14 were arrested and charged for connection to the incident. Now, I'm shocked that they actually were arrested and charged. Now, the real question is, will they get the typical DA slap on the wrist? You're out of jail, nothing at all. No cash bail. They just let them out. Yeah, given the DAs these days, I can't help but think it's a high propensity that, they'll probably just be out in the streets by tomorrow. Here you can see the video here. Looks like they censored the gentleman who's being attacked. I don't want to be that guy, but you'll never guess what all these young thugs are wearing. Not suits, of course. Not a single well-tailored suit. Not even a nice polo. Though, interesting enough, I don't know if they got a bulk pack of t-shirts. They look like they are wearing some of the classic Hanes white t-shirts. They also have isn't this summer? There's someone wearing a hoodie. And part of you might feel bad for these young teens because they do not know how to, again, maybe no father home, but they do not know how to properly utilize an invention, not as old as time, but it's been around for quite some time, the belt. Now you see one with their underwear about maybe 6 inches above their waistline of their pants, clearly indicating they have not heard of any instruction on how to utilize a belt, which is inexcusable because I'm sure there's a YouTube tutorial on it these days. Shoot, there might even be one on Rumble as well. I gotta be a 10-second demonstration, and yet they did not seek the data of how to properly put a pair of pants and a belt on. Unfortunate, but I'll get back to the video. So you can see there's 7 of them, but looks like 2 of them hit him first. So they're walking down the sidewalk. Now they're chasing him across the street. They trip him. He stumbles, doesn't fall, and then Yep, and now they all hit him. Looks like there's a gang of 7, and one of the guys, he just stands there and watches his apparently friends do all this, which, yeah, here. Right, he's a watch out? I don't know. Disgusting. Didn't happen years ago. It was happening with greater and greater frequency. Remember, was it 2 or 3 years ago? There's a whole trend on the TikTok, a couple things, where these young kids would just go up and sucker punch someone out of the blue. Just completely disgusting. Although not too surprising, unfortunately. Went pretty viral, got 588,000 views and 8.2 thousand likes. Phantom Platypus, which A+ for unique name. That's gotta be the most unique one I've heard in a while. It says, quote, "This is why everyone should conceal carry. Everyone has the right to defend themselves," unquote, getting 947 likes. Now, Colin Kaepernick responded saying they would have thrown him in prison and called him a racist. Getting 1.2 thousand likes, ratioing him, which I guess I didn't say this in the video. Now this looks like his old elderly man was white, while all the teens were African American. And Colin got 1.2 thousand likes, so he ratioed that comment. And I mean, I tend to agree in this case, in that assessment, because I mean, look at Daniel Petty. He was a subway. A lot of people call him the subway hero. There's a man who's clearly not mentally fit in the subway car, ranting about how he's going to attack all these women and stuff, and everyone around was getting uncomfortable. Daniel Petty did the right thing. He stood up and heard the call of duty. He subdued that thug, and the guy that, unfortunately, he died. Now, in that case, that person had to be arrested also 62 times and actually beat up grandma multiple times, like punching them. That's the person who passed away because of the subway incident. And again, Daniel Petty that wasn't his intention to kill him. It was I believe they're going to, depending on how they charge him, that actually court case is coming up, but he just restrained him. So I don't think but in that case, I mean, the police actually heard about the incident. And they said, okay, hey, clearly a case of self-defense. They let him go. After the media got it, and after the culture, the people found out about it, and made about race, made about all of these things, only then did they decide to arrest and not prosecute Daniel Petty. Now, thankfully, he's raised a couple millions of dollars in terms of fundraising to get a proper legal defense. And there's a lot of people who are supporting him because he's a former United States Marine, he's a veteran. And yet, he did the right thing. He stood up for the men and women that train, and the children that train, or subway, whatever. And they felt intimidated. This person, again, had been arrested like 60 plus times in the subway incident, and the police just let him go every single time. So that's why this guy's saying, oh yeah, well, if you guys just had a gun, that would have helped him absolutely in the short term. However, how do you think this would play out in modern lawfare? When most district attorneys, most cities, they're not pro self-defense. Quite scary. Now, Florida man Ether said, or ETH, is that for Ethereum, whatever those funny coins are? He says, quote, "If it doesn't make you want to carry a firearm every day, I don't know what will. This is the type of video that makes me want to go out to the gun range to keep improving my shooting skills. Literally disgusting display of violence," unquote, getting 400 likes. Now, Colin Rugg responded saying this man would have been thrown in prison if he tried to defend his life with the firearm. Getting 422 likes. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like that, but I did like that statement because I agree with that statement. So also agree with Florida man ETH because, again, you got to give him a right to defend yourself. And legally speaking, these thugs are coming up to him and beating him up. And again, not to talk smack about or not to pejoratively describe the older man, but on average, if you're in your 60s, these teenagers are going to be stronger physically than you, and they also outnumbered him 7 or 8 to 1. I mean, I think the United States has become so divided. I hope your average person that's on a jury would say, well, I have 7 younger or they're not gentlemen, they're scum, 7 degenerates beating me up and coming at me. You would, I mean, of all the scenarios that would justify self-defense, I would think that would be it. Now, that being said, I'm not sure, based on where this happened, if standard ground law is in force. There are some states where we actually have a burden to retreat, like New Jersey, where if someone breaks into your house, and I'm not kidding, this is disgusting, they can break into your house, and the burden to retreat is on you. You're not allowed to stand your ground and defend yourself and your family. You have to retreat from the actual building in that case. It's horrifying. Check it out on them internets. It's a thing. And I'm not saying you did. It's yet another reason not to live in New Jersey. Not that you needed one, but it's just ridiculous. Now, let's see if there's any. I don't think there's any contrarian comments. We'll keep going. Yeah, Mr. Bigglesworth memes saying though they were good boys, they didn't do nothing. Getting 8 likes. Gunther Eagleman says, quote, "It's a shame you'll never see this on the mainstream media. Wrong narrative. Getting 1.8 thousand likes." True. America Papa Bear says, if it was a group of white kids going after a black kid, the narrative would be totally different. Yep, getting 534 likes, and based on mainstream media, and shoot, I noticed the stark difference between mainstream media and probably in college when I went to college in Iowa, but I grew up in Illinois, unfortunately, and yeah, just watching the same news channels but seeing the different coverages, it was fascinating to see the differences just covering the same subjects and how they would phrase and they would frame things differently. It was horrifying. It was very eye-opening. Gunther Eagleman also says, "Get out of New York while you still can." Game 453. They got 440. Oh wow, it went up twice. Got 455 likes now. Let's see here. The statistic is a little small for me to read, but if I actually pull it up here. This is from Molly. Let's see here. Posted by a user by the name of Molly Pitcher, says, "Time to leave blue cities." And it's like, okay, so this is a graph, and the source is the Bureau of Justice Statistics. The camera's black in one of the words, but also says in Victimization Survey 2018, Table 14. And it says interracial violent crime incidents 2018. Black on white accounted statistically was 547,948. Black on Hispanic was 112,000 on a round. White on black was 59, well, round up 60,000. White on Hispanic was 210,000. Hispanic on white was 365,000. Hispanic on black was 45,000. Then the TV is zooming in the smallest bar there, which is white on black. That again came in at 60,000 incidents. Again, this is 2018. Again, click that subscribe button. It may very well assist by speaking ineptitudes. I have a theory. When I first started the show, I had barely any subscribers, and I spoke even worse. Yes, believe it or not, spoke mostly monotone, spoke even faster than I do now. Yes, that's possible, believe it or not. But as I gained more and more subscribers, I have slowly but surely become more articulate. Some might argue it's just modicum improvement, but if you can click that subscribe button and tell your friends, I really appreciate it, and it'll make the show better, I believe. So again, the camera is zooming in on the small, actually, no, it's not the smallest statistic, it's the second smallest statistic, which is the white on black is 60,000. The smallest of this graph is Hispanic on black. That came in at 45,000. Again, I rounded. Now that graph got 285 likes. Now, going back to the main comments, you have Kelly K saying Democrats caused this by encouraging violence and no consequences for bad behavior. Vote President Trump to bring back law and order. The people are finished with soft crime BS. 334 likes. That being said, get very involved on a state level if you want to make any changes in your life. Because again, Trump could try to pass a federal law. Maybe you could pass a federal stand your ground law. That might be possible. But in terms of many of these incidents that are happening, look at the ballot box when you're voting for your district attorney or anyone in power, or your local sheriff or your local judge. Those are very, very important, and not enough people do it. And again, just because it says a D or R next to the name does not mean those are the policies they represent. Because there are a lot of folks in politics who just flip once they get into the office. Especially there are a lot of rhinos, pejoratively known as Republicans in name only. So definitely make sure you know what their policies really are standing for. So, yeah, pretty heartbreaking to see this. Again, hopefully the gentleman is released for, $5,000. Imagine that, a $5,000 medical bill out of nowhere when most Americans living around $1,000 in savings. That's disgusting. So hopefully there's a cultural shift where, again, one of my 3 cents used to be 2 cents, but order your hyperinflation. Definitely could use some nuclear families where you actually have a father and a mother. Because again, you just look at how much better off the kids are raised. It's astonishing. And more often than not, when you see such activities, they come from broken homes, and it's not good for society. It's not good for them. It's not good for anyone. So hopefully there's a culture shift as we're seeing these things increase in frequency. And let me know, has this happened at a local level? Have you seen it? And what do you think it would take to actually shift the culture back to how things were when we all just treat each other like humans? Let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Colin Kaepernick begging the NFL to accept him after comparing the NFL to the slave trade in a documentary he made. Yeah, why would anyone hire this guy again? Now, he's known for being a sports balls player. I think he won a game or 2. Granted, I know like 3 to 4 sports balls players, so definitely not a aficionado or an expert on sports. But I do recognize bad business trends, and this guy, he costs a lot of business, a lot of money. Oh, he did make some. I think Nike probably made a profit on all the activism he did. Now, this comes to those things too, end wokeness, and which he says, quote, 2021, Colin Kaepernick compares the NFL to slavery. 2024, draft me. There you have a nice video compilation where they show both instances. And at least he did one smart thing in his life. He did suit up for the documentary. It's about a minute and a half, and it's mostly, mentally vacuous, but we'll endure it together.
Before they put you on the...
Yet another reason to tune into Rumble, the superior video streaming platform. More often than not, the music will be ripped from these types of videos, and certain content might just disappear. However, they don't do that at Rumble, so check out The Topping Show at Rumble.
Field, teams poke.
And I'll rewind it so you can hear his annoying voice. So, I don't have much ground to stand on. My voice, beat you in the comments there.
Before they put you on the field, teams poke, prod, and examine you, searching for any defect that might affect your performance.
See, this is a fascinating phenomenon. Maybe he does not understand how the world works, Mr. Kaepernick. You see, that's called a physical. And your job in the NFL is quite literally very physical. So, one would think if they're going to spend millions of dollars paying you a salary, they probably want to ensure you are as healthy as possible. Pretty much any job that has a modicum of manual labor is going to either want to see a physical, or they want to just interview you and just see you can do the job. That's any job. That's not unique to the NFL. Like, if you had a job if you were interviewed at a job at a construction site, they want you to be able to lift bricks and roofing tiles and other things. Ridiculous.
No boundary respected. No dignity left intact.
Keep in mind, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars in the NFL. I believe, actually, let's ask them good old internets or the Grok AI. I believe, is it the minimum? What is the minimum salary of an NFL player? So again, he's saying this is slavery, so it must be, less minimum wage, right? Wow. So this comes to us thanks to Grok, the good old cool ex-Twitter AI. They say, quote, the minimum salary for the NFL player can vary based on several factors, including the player's experience and the terms of collective bargaining agreement in place at the time. Here's a general breakdown based on the most recent agreements. Rookie, first-year players, underdraft free agents. The minimum salary for undrafted rookie is typically around $705,000 for 2023 season, but it can increase with each CMA season. Veteran minimum salaries for players of 1 or more years experience in the NFL. First year, around $1.08 million. Second year, around $1.14 million. Third year, about $1.2 million. Fourth year, around $1.26 million. Fifth year, about $1.32 million. Sixth year and beyond, they say there's a slight increase each year, but after the fifth year, the increase tends to plateau a little bit more. Millions of dollars. Now, I understand the government's going to steal, tax like half of that. But still, $500,000 per year? I understand they're training every day, so it's not like they're sitting around doing nothing. But has he never read a history book? Again, he's comparing this to slavery. So mentally vacuous. And still got 1 minute and 8 seconds left. Look at how cringe this was. So they were getting physicals, and now they're being led to I forget what we call it, the slave podium auction, and they're in chains. Getting paid millions of dollars, and he's compared to slavery. More, especially, historically speaking, everyone was a slave at one point, but people should be a lot more irate about this.
Shake there. Look at this. Mr. Farmer got your bid. 30, James, 30 to you. 100. So, next one coming up, best one we got. 500, 600.
I do a cotton in the background. It looks like they got a white guy with glasses, a beard, and suit. It's all old time. Whoa, wow, wow. So they got the old timey setup, and then they juxtapose it. Now they're in the modern age. We have, looks like a sports. Is it a coach? Some type of sports balls coach who's inspecting a player who simply has his arms stretched. Interestingly enough, pretty sure it's an Under Armour or a Nike fancy fabric shirt that costs probably 50, 60, 70 bucks.
Look at this here. Come on, who wants this?
Now it's going back and forth between the slave, and then the modern is a sports. I know there's a fancy like there's a sports medicine. There's a specific title for what they're doing right there, but he's going back between the two. So that's from 2000. Was it 2021? And now what's he saying?
We're to work on some things, see if we can make it in there, but would love to be out there.
And will we see you play NFL again?
We're still training, still pushing. So hopefully we just got to get one of these team owners to open up.
What did it mean to you to play NFL again?
I mean, it's something I've trained my whole life for. So be able to step back on the field, I think that would be a major moment, major accomplishment for me. Also, I think it's something that I could bring a lot to a team and help them win a championship.
Yeah, I want to say I could do a better job than him. But in terms of the business, yeah, I think I could. In terms of if they hire him, they'll lose money. If they hire me, I mean, they won't win any games unless everyone is heavily medicated or some instance where there's something in the water. But realistically, they wouldn't win any games, but they don't lose money at protests. Now, the issue with him from a business perspective, people are going to boycott that team. This guy's radioactive. Now, wind back the clock 3 to 4 or 5 years ago when BLM was all the rage, it'd be controversial, but you could argue maybe that team would have made money because of that new customer segment. That fade is come and gone. BLM also didn't contribute anything to African American communities. They didn't build one park and increase one job. And the founders, they bought mansions and escaped, apparently, and they're Marxist. Yeah, I haven't found a single instance where actually helped the African American community. That's what they said they would do. Now, yeah, in this case, I mean, it almost reminds me of the OJ thing. Every time someone interviewed OJ, saying, "Oh, hello, Twitter world, trying to find that killer." I know it's probably a terrible OJ impression, but I went for it. Like every time they interview Colin Kaepernick, goes, "Oh yeah, I want to get back in the NFL. I'm working on training it. I'm working on it." I mean, he went all in on the activism. And granted, business wise, I understand why he did that because he was a terrible athletic player. He wouldn't win any games really, and he was cut because of his poor performance. Once he got into activism, he had companies like Nike giving him $1 million endorsement deals, all that kind of stuff, and he was making money on that route. He's even on the cover on one of those stupid video games people pay $60 to $80 for. That's the same every year, but they change the names of the players. But he even made money off that, even though he wasn't officially playing. I think they still put him in a ball game. It's ridiculous, but he made money off of that. I don't see how. I mean, no one is going to hire this guy. I mean, you would have more protests to those games. And again, sports balls, I mean, one of those lucrative things you can get into in terms of owning a sports balls team. And again, there are certain products where it makes sense to get political. It makes sense to be more controversial, especially if you're like a CNN or a Fox News or a Daily Wire. It makes sense because you're going after a very specific segment of the market. If you're a sports ball team, you want every single person on the planet who wants to see a ball move fast or go into hole or hoop or something like that. You want the largest audience possible. I mean, just by that metric alone, it would not be a smart idea to hire this guy. Though maybe I'm wrong in this assessment and everyone's saying he's brilliant and brave and they'll hire him tomorrow. Maybe the owner of the Patriots or the Bears or something will say that in the comments. Probably not, but let's dive on in. One of the first comments comes from Gunther Eagleman, who says, quote, he's a race baiting POS, getting 493 likes. Paul Zupa says Colin Kaepernick is in peak shape of his hypocrisy, getting 180 likes. AKA says LMFAO, why does he want to go back to slavery? Getting 114 likes. Good question. Libercat Media TM says another grifter like the WNBA dude who was locked up in Russia that Biden traded for. Oh yeah, Griner, the only person people really knew about in the WNBA before Caitlyn, which again, especially how mentally vacuous that Griner girl was or guy. It was an instance where this person went to Russia with illegal drugs and then got arrested. Because again, it's illegal in Russia. Also, this person hated, Griner had a whole career track of hating the United States, never standing for the flag and talking smack about it and just hating it, being patriotic. So of course Biden traded the Lord of War for her. Literally, Victor Bout, read the book. It's a brilliant book. Now, again, back to Liberty Cat Media TM, got 18 likes. Heather007 says they pay football players hundreds or thousands, well into the millions. They can poke and prod all they want. No one is forcing you to go there. Getting 76 likes. Oh, that's a good one. I forget what skit it was. Was it SNL where the guy shoots the guy in the chair, says, why would they do that? The guy with the gun says, labeled Colin Kaepernick, and he shoots the guy in the chair, labeled football career. And Kaepernick turns around and goes, why would the NFL do this? 148 likes. Oh, that's... Wild Bill NC says, when nobody knew who you were until you got on your knees. Is Monica Lewinsky, Colin Kaepernick, and Kamala Harris. That got 11 likes. Another one, same thing, but different pictures, got 97 likes. So, yeah. Again, let me know in the comments. Do you think, I mean, I would never hire, I mean, this person's too controversial. And he's also not a good athlete. So I don't know how an NFL team would make money, even if they do increase merchandise sales because people like the guy. I mean, usually you make a lot of money off merch and you win sports balls, games, and tournaments and bowls and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't think a team would conceivably profit off of partnering him. But let me know in the comments. Do you think it'd be a smart idea to hire him? Do you think he'd be a successful player after all these years? Let me know in the comments. As always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now going over to the political part of the podcast, you have RFK Jr. dropping out and endorses Trump while roasting the DNC and how much they've changed in his lifetime. Now, this is brought to us thanks to George over on X Twitter, in which George says, quote, breaking, RFK shocks mainstream media reporters by reportedly saying the Democrat Party is now a party of corruption, big tech, big donors, etc. This is historical. It's actually so historical. You know the DNC is scared because all the mainstream media cut his mic. As soon as he started talking about certain things that would get you kicked off the YouTube, well, yeah, they didn't like that. Even Sky News from Australia, which is, I mean, I would say most, politically speaking, if you had to assign politics to the news outlets, I would say that's much more middle or even more right on average. Now, I don't know if his voice is infinitely better than me, but he does have some great substance to what he's talking about. So without too much further ado, go ahead and I'll play his summarized speech, or probably the highlight of his speech, I would say.
I attended my first Democratic convention at the age of 6 in 1960. And back then, the Democrats were the champions of the Constitution, of civil rights. The Democrats stood against authoritarianism, against censorship, against colonialism, imperialism, and unjust wars. We were the party of labor, of the working class. The Democrats were the party of government transparency and the champion of the environment. Our party was the bulwark against big money interests and corporate power. True to its name, it was the party of democracy. As you know, I left that party in October because it had departed so dramatically from the core values that I grew up with. It had become the party of war, censorship, corruption, big pharma, big tech, big ag, and big money. When it abandoned democracy by canceling the primary to conceal the cognitive decline of the sitting president, I left the party to run as an independent. The mainstream of American politics and journalism derided my decision. Conventional wisdom said that it would be impossible even to get on the ballot as an independent because each state poses an insurmountable tangle of arbitrary rules for collecting signatures. I would need over 1 million signatures, something no presidential candidate in history had ever achieved.
That's ridiculous. But also, DNC is doing this. Republicans are doing that too. They have a vested interest. I interviewed a libertarian candidate, or a former libertarian candidate, a couple years ago on the Topping Talks, my interview podcast. And yeah, he told me how it wasn't just the Democrats pushing this, also Republicans. They wanted to have the requirement for him to get signatures to actually be on the ballot and get on the debate stage. That number was greater than the other parties. But partially digress.
And then I need a team of attorneys and millions of dollars to handle all the legal challenges from the DNC. The naysayers told us that we were climbing a glass version of Mount Impossible. So the first thing I want to tell you is that we proved them wrong. We did it because beneath the radar of mainstream media organs, we inspired a massive independent political movement.
Agree. And they did a lot better than I thought they would do. I mean, it was up there with Ross Perot, one of the legends from this great state. Some might argue the great country of Texas. Probably best known for building businesses like electronic data systems, also known as EDS, which is, fun fact, one of the signs I actually behind me, that was from the podium from the EDS, where they actually have an underground auditorium back in the day at the old headquarters in Plano, Texas. But yeah, I think RFK, great speech. Now, one of the weird things about this speech I didn't bring up specifically in that segment was he said he was dropping out of the swing states specifically. But he said he's going to stay on the ballot in the states that are deep blue and deep red. And they say maybe, if there's an undecided between Trump and Kamala, to bear what the odds are of that is, then he would be able to stick in it like that. It was a really unusual situation. I don't know if he's trying to save face or just want to, because I think it's a bizarre move. It's weird. And again, he did compliment Trump. He talked about, most likely, I think he's going to get a seat in Trump wins. He's going to get a seat on one of the cabinet positions, and the Trump hopefully had the FBI or the CIA or maybe the FDA, maybe. But yeah, he has a collaboration with Trump, and he endorsed him. But it is, again, that's a little weird for that one little caveat. Now, going to some of the top comments, you have, well, I was going to say, very long but specific name. You know exactly what they're all about. Ultra Super Duper MAGA. This profile says, quote, wow, he just obliterated the entire Democrat Party. That was awesome, getting 469 likes. Jeannie, Trump won, Carrie Lake won. Long profile name, but it'll stand. Says, history is being made. Kennedy is supporting Trump. Unprecedented. Dangerous times cause unprecedented action. And it's a picture of Kennedy and Trump, and says, let's make America great together. Getting 444 likes. Philip Anderson says, let's effing go, getting 424 likes. The Flag Guy says Democrats are now the party of fascists and communists, getting 771 likes. Well, they do want to control the prices of food and housing. It's been shown that big tech did collaborate with them and censor millions of Americans. They want to take our guns away via mandatory gun buybacks, which again, if you don't comply with, they take your life away. So yeah, it's not hard to push back against that statement. Going down, Terry says he's correct. The Democrats froze him out of the election, getting 222 likes. Yep. Any contrary statements here? Again, there are some independents who will not vote for anyone except a libertarian candidate. And I understand. And part of me does respect that. You stick to your guns. And let's see here. Nick J says the Democrat Party has swung so far Marxist left that it alienated a Kennedy legacy Democrat. Let that sink in for a minute. Rational Democrats are rare, unquote, getting 46 likes, despite my speaking ineptitudes. Mark Thompson says the mainstream media hates the truth, or they wouldn't spend so much time trying to bury it. Getting 71 likes. See here. Dad of BS says, as Reagan said, the Democrat Party left him, getting 76 likes. See here. I'm not seeing I'm not seeing any contrarian statements. No, we can be wrong. It might be there. There's how many comments are total? 1,300. A couple of AI pictures of Trump and Kennedy already hanging out. So we'll see how much of activity RFK Jr. actually stirs up on the campaign. Does he start joining Trumpists in the rallies? Maybe that'll happen in a couple minutes. Who knows? But yeah, if you're a libertarian, there's really only one choice in terms of Kamala versus Trump. So for a lot of folks, it's obvious. But still, it's good that he endorsed Trump. It'll be interesting to see how many people from the Libertarian Party follow RFK Jr. start to vote for Trump. And let me know in the comments. Actually, do you think what is the greatest percentage of the Libertarian Party members going to vote for? Are they going to vote left for Kamala, or are they going to vote right for Trump? Let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, the Secret Service headquarters allegedly ordered agents not to request additional support at the Trump assassination attempt rally. Now, this comes to us thanks to Benny Johnson over on the X Twitter. And he says, quote, breaking Pennsylvania bombshell, a new whistleblower testimony obtained by Senator Hawley reveals that the Secret Service headquarters directed agents on the ground at the rally to not request additional resources as they would be denied. Almost reminds me of Hillary Clinton and Benghazi. Though I should say for the record, she's a honest, brilliant woman who's never done a corrupt thing in her life and not have a statistically impossible number of people around her who committed suicide, about 28 people. Just want to say for the record, she's totally not corrupt and evil, and I want to live life as long as possible and do not plan on prematurely ending it at any point. Just randomly, just wanted to throw that out there. Now, this is a little bit longer documentation, but go ahead and I'll pull it up so I can read that. Now, Benny Johnson also says this is smelling dirtier by the day. And this is from the Honorable Ronald Rowe Jr., Acting Director, U.S. Secret Service, says, quote, "Dear Acting Director Rowe, I've received a new whistleblower allegations that again call into question your recent testimony before the Senate. One whistleblower with knowledge of the Secret Service planning for former President Trump's trip to Butler, Pennsylvania, alleges that officials at Secret Service headquarters encouraged the agents in charge of the trip not to request any additional security assets in its former manpower request, effectively denying these assets through informal means. Yet you have repeatedly suggested there's no security assets had been denied for the Butler event. You must explain this apparent contradiction immediately," unquote. Now, small sub note, I'll never, what was it, last week or a week ago? You had a local police officer from the Pennsylvania area where after the incident, they were walking around in the body cam. He goes, "Yeah, we told the Secret Service to put guys on that roof and they didn't listen to us." And never forget the head of the Secret Service, a former PepsiCo gal, when they asked her, "Why didn't you have a counter sniper on that roof?" She said, "It was because of an incline and we were worried about the safety of our counter snipers." A little slope to feed the Secret Service, according to her. Keep in mind, the same Secret Service had agents with snipers on different roofs with greater inclines. So my 3 cents used to be 2 cents, but 40-year hyperinflation, she's either corrupt or maybe she's a scapegoat. She wasn't fired fast. I thought she was going to be on paid leave for a year. She actually did voluntarily resign, interestingly enough. Now, going back to the letter, to say, quote, "According to the whistleblower, the lead advice agent for a protective trip typically submits a manpower request to the local field office. This normally includes the number of personnel and other security assets needed for the event, as is submitted to the U.S. Secret Service Office of Protection Operations and Manpower," of course they have an acronym, OPO Manpower, "for final approval. According to the allegations, officials within the office preemptively informed the Pittsburgh field office that the Butler rally was not going to receive any additional security resources because Trump is a former president and not the incumbent president or the vice president. According to the whistleblower, the manpower request did not include extra security resources because agents on the ground were told not to ask for them in the first place. Importantly, these resources include counter sniper teams and counter surveillance division personnel. According to the public reports, counter snipers were ultimately approved, but only the day prior to the event, leaving an insufficient amount of time to conduct a proper site assessment. I have previously written to you a separate whistleblower allegations to my office. The office of personnel from CSD would have handcuffed the gunman in the parking lot after he was spotted with a rangefinder, but they were not present that day. You stated never forget. So this guy, and again, we're here starting more evidence to the surface that he didn't act alone, but this kid, when I say kid, he's probably, I think he was in his 20s. He was, two things really stood out to me, and I'll get back to the substance in a second, but he flew a drone there, which, again, drones, unless you hack them, they can't fly in certain areas. They're called no-fly zones for many reasons. That's maybe one of them. Try taking enough, not legal advice, but saying, hypothetically, if you take a drone and try to fly it above an airport, it'll shut down. It won't go in there because, again, it's virtually has like a virtual fence around it, rudimentarily speaking. So he was able to take a drone there, do a survey. Then he went there with a rangefinder, and then he just walked there with an AR-15 that did nothing. Now, they say, quote, "You stated in the August 2nd press release the CSD personnel support for former president details when requested, but these new allegations suggest that the CSD personnel, counter-sniper teams, and other critical safety assets were not included in the manpower request for the Butler trip because Secret Service officials told the requesting agents they would be denied. These allegations come despite your testimony to the contrary before the Senate on July 30th. When asked whether the former President Donald Trump's team had been denied resources, you stated, if you are talking about in Butler, Pennsylvania, all assets requested were approved. You also stated directly to me that you have been, quote, very transparent and forthcoming with Congress, but according to the allegations, you did not tell the full story. Your actions to place some field agents on leave are not enough. Again, another example of the ineptitudes of the public sector. No one's been fired from this, really? And you know they're getting paid. It's paid leave. It's got to be. It's how it always is. They had the gal voluntarily step down. They say, quote, these serious allegations suggest that the failure to protect the former president extended to top officials at the agency. You must answer the following questions immediately and publicly. 1. Who within the OPO manpower informed the Pittsburgh field and or agents in charge not to include additional security assets in the manpower request because they would be denied? Has the individual been disciplined? Or were they given a bonus of cash? I added that last part. Quote, which specific security assets were left out of the manpower request for the Butler's trip that prompted the Secret Service officials? 3. Did you have personal knowledge that the Secret Service officials had told the Pittsburgh field office to leave out additional resource security assets from the Butler manpower request when testified before the Senate? 4. Please provide a copy of the manpower request submitted to OPO manpower for the Butler trip. Sincerely, Josh Hawkins, United States Senator. Yep, that's pretty interesting. They tell him, oh yeah, just don't even bother asking. They'll be denied. It's going to be one of the biggest red flags I've heard about in a while. And hopefully this goes even more viral. It got 200,000 views and 10,000 likes. One of the first comments comes from Gunther Eagleman, who says, quote, this was a setup. People need to be held accountable, unquote, getting 256 likes. AKA says it was an inside job, getting 82 likes. American Papa Bear says, quote, the onion gets stinkier the more we peel back the layers, getting 32 likes. As far as 84 says, it's been dirty since day one, getting 72 likes. Blue Collar Patriot says, the deep state made their move, but they missed. God is good. I'm quote, getting 41 likes. Old School Eddie says, quote, there's a cover-up going on. There's so much more going on than the kid is taking a shot at the president, getting 45 likes. Here. Also have Southern FFA Family says he should have never been left out in Butler, just like yesterday, getting 8 likes. Manster says sometimes coincidences aren't coincidences at all, getting 5 likes. I say not any contrarian statements that I can see thus far. Oh yeah, there's a video from Quickie where actually, yeah. So we're supposed to believe the official story. Yeah, they just didn't realize this was happening. So like the people in the crowd saw the shooter and pointed him out, and yet the Secret Service did nothing for like, what was it? It was a clear line of sight for 3 minutes. Yeah, so there's a video of that got 3 likes. So interesting to see this story develop. At the end of the day, will we actually ever know the full story? I'm a little skeptical, but let me know. And then let me know in the comments, will we ever know the full story? And then do you think anyone in the Secret Service will ever be held accountable? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have MSNBC saying Kamala did a great job at the border. And I'm not trying to do stand-up comedy. That wasn't a joke or anything. But I suppose you could say MSNBC is a joke. But yeah, these people are not inebriated. They're not drinking Bud Light or using the devil's lettuce or anything like that I can tell. And yet, yeah, the straight face, they go, oh yeah, Kamala did a great job at the border. I mean, even my friends who are left-leaning think that's a load of crock. And no one believes that. I guess from a certain point of view, you could argue he did great for the border in regards to getting more illegal voters, maybe, from that definition. But by all definitions that most people would agree to, no, she did not do a good job. Now, this comes with thanks to Gunther Eagleman over on the X Twitter, when she says, quote, the news is just a headspin and can't keep her shit straight. MSNBC just said border czar Harris has done the work, interesting phrase, to manage our open border. Laugh emoji and clown emoji. And it's MSNBC, so I know it might hurt your earballs and your eyes, but it's about 21 seconds long. Look at a little star right here.
And in that time has literally been doing the work. Border crossings are down because Mexico is enforcing their border. Do you know how Mexico enforces their border? Diplomacy. Do you know who is in charge of the root causes of migration and working on that diplomatic effort? The woman who will be standing on this stage tonight. There is just, you don't...
Mentally vacuous, absolutely, 110%. I mean, it's almost as bad as your outfit. Fashion burns. You're wearing like I don't know if it's a garbage bag technically, but it's a big black baggy looking dress thingamajig. And gold earrings with hoops. So I actually missed this last week. This is from the DNC convention. And yeah, I don't know what's more funny. The fact that she says Kamala's doing a great job at the border, or that Mexico's doing a great job at the border. again, what was it? Estimated 8 to 18 million illegals passing have come into the United States in the past 41 months. It's an unprecedented amount of illegals. It's insane. And yet they're saying, oh yeah, Kamala did a great job. She's a border czar. I mean, I know people have short memory spans, and people forget things easily. But do you think your average American is really going to see this and go, "Oh yeah, she did a great job"? I mean, let me know on that note alone. And it did go very viral. Actually, I thought I'd get more views. Got about 91 again, 1,000 views. Again, click that subscribe button. It may help with my speaking ineptitudes and my stuttering. Perhaps someday I can get through an entire episode without a single speaking mishap. A tall order, some might say, but you never know. Now that also got 1,000 likes. Now, one of the first comments is Liberty Cerulean. He has a comic strip. It has a guy that looks at a dog, and he goes, "Oh, how cute!" The dog goes, "Biden-Harris border policy was awful, so I'm endorsing Harris for 2024." Then it goes back to the guy. He goes, "Oh no, it's retarded." Getting 13 likes. Here, Maria Isabella says they can't even keep their story straight anymore. And it's all the NBC characters with all the main big tech and mainstream media logos splashed on the forehead. It says, "Kamala Harris was never the border czar." And 35 likes. Fascinating how they try to rewrite history in true 1984 Orwellian fashion. Bruce says, "What?" And it's Merrick Ireland saying, "No one is above law." Then it says, "Except millions of illegal invaders, BLM, Antifa riders, and Democrats. They're all crossing illegally." Getting 24 likes. Perkles are great. Says, quote, "Joy border crossing are down pre-election to full American voters. Post Kamala, if God forbid Kamala wins, the border is back to border czar Kamala invasion." Getting 30 likes. And yeah, the rate at which they're illegally crossing, that may be decreasing, but very, very similar to the inflation, still record high. Now, one of the best metaphors that kind of makes it easy, especially to Americans, to relate to and understand, is someone talks about how like they gain 20 pounds of weight year one, they gain 19 pounds year two, gain 30 pounds year three, gain 40 pounds of fat year four, then year five, they gain 5 pounds. Or in this case, by better ratio, more accurate ratio, they gain, instead of 50 pounds, they gain 40 pounds. Now, not once did they lose weight, but the rate of the weight gain was decreasing. It's happening just like inflation, just like the border. Yet, for people who don't understand statistics or basic logic, they may very well be fooled by that unethical technique. See here? Someone by the name of Moon Soon says, "Wow," it says illegal means illegal. Crossing the U.S. border illegally is a crime. Enforce the law and deport illegals. Secure our borders. Getting 7 likes. I do think this is going to be one of the biggest political issues out there. Oh, a lot more memes. Someone has, again, this is AI. Oh, I was going to say, you may only see this video on the Rumble since, yeah, fascinatingly enough, if you have AI images of certain candidates, they strike down videos on the YouTube. Of course, they're about, yeah. Jeez. Again, tune in anywhere but there. That's my preference. But nevertheless, Not Jab says American Invasion, border czar Harris, since AI image of Kamala Harris and she's at the border with surrounded by illegals, getting 13 likes. So obviously, just MSNBC doing their job supporting the DNC, and maybe it's to fool a couple people, but I can't but think the average person is just going to see these clips and hopefully just laugh derisively, because obviously the border is a joke in the United States. Though, fascinatingly enough, the U.S. spends hundreds of billions of dollars, trillions of dollars supporting other countries' borders. Not our own, though. But let me know in the comments, do you think, this will just explode in their faces in terms of bad PR for MSNBC? Will people see it and kind of further realize, Kamala is not tough on the border, or did anything good on the border? Let me know in the comments. As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have BMW recalling a little over 721,000 vehicles because they may burst into flames, which it's not good unless you sell grills for a living or something to that effect. Now, this comes with thanks to Jack Fitzgerald, who's a writer over at Car and Driver, in which they say, quote, BMW recalls nearly 721,000 cars and SUVs due to a fire risk. Now, they say that, there you can see one of those SUVs, which, if we made it a stick shift, it might be a more compelling purchase, but they say, quote, the recall stems from a faulty water pump and impacts 2012 to 2018 models, such as the 3 and 5 series, as well as the X3 and X5. Which, great unique names, BMW. Ridiculous. I'm just not a fan of having regular letters and numbers instead of names, but I understand why they do it. Now, they say specifically they're recalling 720,796 vehicles, and Wow, it's due to involving a faulty seal on the water pump, which may cause a fire. And it's also ironic because it's a water pump, but I know. They say, quote, the recall spans 12 models from 2012 to 2018 model years, including, uninspiring, I only know of one because it's a fun one, the Z4 convertible, the 2, the 3, and the 4, and the 5 series, and the X1, the X3, the X4, and the X5 SUVs. Fascinating naming, BMW. Say, quote, BMW has already begun to notify dealerships, and owners are expected to be notified in early October. Or just tune into this show where we cover recalls, as they are about half the business Blunder's on here, weeks or sometimes months in advance of the snail mail. Now they say, let's see. They say the recall model. Oh, there you can see a slightly better picture of the dull gray BMW SUV. If I get an SUV, well, it's vintage now, but believe it or not, Porsche made an SUV with a stick shift and a V8 in 2012. There's the Cayenne GTS. I think they only made like 292 of them, so fortunately, every time they do pop up for sale, they want like $58,000 and they'll have 100,000 miles. And like, so it's like 4x what a regular automatic one is worth. Not worth it if I win the lottery though. They say, quote, specifically the problem with the BMW involves the water pump's electrical pump connector, allowing water to drip into the positive crankcase ventilation system through the seal, potentially causing a short circuit. Short circuit could cause a fire in the engine bay, necessitating a recall. Which, that's just BMW. I mean, it's one of those things where I don't think anyone's surprised by this. BMW is not known for reliability. I mean, they used to be known for the ultimate driving machine. Fun business fact, the longest mantra in marketing, especially for the automotive community ever. And used to make great stick shift sports cars, and now they've used getting more and more automatics and EVs. But nevertheless, they used to make some fantastic feats of German engineering, or the Bavarians know what they're doing over there. But yeah, the Quant family needs to, I don't know, I think they need to get back to the true enthusiasts. That's the family behind the brand, but that's just me. But again, it'll recall affects your SUVs, which again is one of the most profitable, important segments of any automobile manufacturer's portfolio. When people already don't see you as, a big, reliable brand, more performance, but that's certainly BMW, that certainly has to be the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, leave me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.